believers. Our esteemed viewers and listeners at home, once more, you are most welcome to the program for tonight. The program is called Fundamentals of Islam, reaching you from NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. My name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi, and I've got in the studio tonight, I want you to please join me to welcome Imam Barrister Taslim Akosli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ahlan wa sahlan. You are most welcome. Imam is the Wali of the Muslim Congress, the coordinator of TMC in FCT Abuja chapter. We want to discuss tonight a very important topic that I believe we are all going to benefit from. So I want you to please, let's pay attention and let's follow through with the discussion. It's going to be on Islamic economic ideals. We all want to thrive economically, and we are all struggling one way or the other, making efforts, concerted efforts, to ensure that we are able to provide for ourselves, for our families. Economically, what are the things we need to do for ourselves as individuals and as families, as groups, and as a society? So we pick it from what are the acceptable ways. You want to do this, they will say this one is haram, this is wrong. Want to do that, they say it's not acceptable. Want to do that, they say God frowns at it. What are the ways through which we can seek economic independence or economic growth within the acceptable ideals of Islam? That is where we want to begin from. So, Imam, please enlighten us.
Yeah.
Is it everything is haram, 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 haram in Islam?
Bismillah, first of all, it's important that people understand that Islam emphasizes on dignity of labor and the fact that as Muslims, we must be balanced in everything we do.
Balance.
Much as we are expected to worship Allah, at the same time, we are expected to fend for ourselves and search for our daily livelihood on as soon as we are done with prayers.
Okay, so the prayer part is established.
Yes.
We also have to look for what we
for
eat.
our daily bread.
So we don't stay 24 hours in the mosque.
The two reinforces themselves, and I'm going to give examples on that.
Okay.
For example, in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, it's very popular. Allah SWT told us that Ya ayyuhallazina amanu iza nudiya lis-salati min yawmil jumu'ah fas'au ila dhikrillah. And then the scholars have taught us that the word faf there, you do al-faw, means Allah is telling us to immediately. So immediately, of course, we are in the morning, we go about our business, but as soon as the call to prayer is done, we abandon everything mundane and we go to pray. Then Allah subsequently in that surah says, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. And as soon as the prayer is sorted out, immediately go out, go through the earth, go through the land and seek for your livelihood. That is on the one hand. Then secondly, that prayer too is reinforcing our mundane activities. And what do I mean? When we go to pray, we perform ablution, we do Surah Al-Fatiha, and we recite surahs in our salat. And those surahs that we recite in our salat, they are leading with meanings and messages that we are expected to live those meanings and messages outside of our prayer. For example, we have gone out for our livelihood and we have come to the masjid to observe Salatul Zuhr. And by observing Salatul Zuhr, we recite Surah Al-Mutaffifin on prayer, where Allah says, Bismillah, Wailun lil-mutaffifin, allazina iza iktalu ala nasi yastawfun, wa idha kaluhum aw wazanuhum yukhsirun, alla yadhunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun li yawmin 'azim. What does this verses mean? It means Allah SWT is telling us why we are praying that Wailun lil-mutaffifin, my woe betide, Allah SWT is telling us that He is cursing those that pad weights and measures. Allazina iza iktalu ala nasi yastawfun, those who, when it is their turn to get what is due to them,
ways to go about this.
Now, there is thank you very much. There, as far as Islam is concerned, there is what we call the maqasid Sharia.
Okay.
That is the objectives of the Sharia.
Nah.
And the overall objective of the Sharia is to jalbul manfa wa daf'ul mafsada. when you look at the totality of the Sharia, Sharia is very wide.
Hmm.
But zeroing it down to the commercial aspect, when you look at that principle of bringing about good and
Okay.
uh, taking away from us all
Okay.
harms. So you see that when it comes to the commercial activity or economic activities, there are
Yes.
principles that guide us as Muslims, which Sharia lays down to guide Muslims, such as prohibition of interest, riba. Don't
Okay.
engage in riba because it's
Hmm.
going to have detrimental effects on your earnings and even on your
Hmm.
economic well-being.
Okay.
There have been several publications and books, both by the Westerners, by Muslim scholars, and the rest of them. At least, if we don't know any other, we are aware President Obasanjo, sometimes in 2000, came out openly to say that all we borrowed was this amount. We have paid so amount, which is like times 3 or times 4. We are still owing times so amount. If you ask me what is the worst thing, I would say it is compound interest. That is
Hmm.
President Obasanjo coming to say that.
Hmm.
So
This
interest,
riba interest
yes,
things
is
are
detrimental to our economic well-being. Then you talk about things like um, uh, garar.
garar.
Garar means uncertainties, excess speculation.
Hmm.
So speculation is prohibited in the Sharia because of the evil impact it is going to have. Then another thing that is prohibited in the Sharia is gambling, al-kimar. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was clear about it in the Quran. He said, إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه
Questionable.
لعلكم تفلحون. إنما الخمر, alcoholism, والميسر, game of chance, and it counted them, zeroing in on the game of chance. When we
Okay.
talk about what we call, the Hausas call it chacha, the
Chacha.
Yorubas call it tete,
That's betting.
betting.
Hmm.
So it's also harmful. And why is it harmful? Under the Sharia, according to the scholars of Islam, they said, "Alugunumi bilugurumi." If you want to profit, you should be ready to take responsibility. And that is a responsibility because, of course, everybody talk about sustainability. The United Nations and everybody talk about sustainability. So, what is that practice of sustainability? You find all of that embedded in the Sharia principles that says if you want to profit, you should be ready to take responsibility because part of the law of nature, that was the law with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala governs the universe,
Yes.
is that profit comes, it may come a lot of times, but there are instances where there is going to be losses. So if you want to profit, then you should also be ready to bear losses when it
At the
appears.
same time.
So in essence, that principle of Sharia is talking about productivity.
Hmm.
And when you look at the concept of betting, cha-cha, and the rest of them, it negates that. And the essence is that very few people are going to profit at the expense of
the
the multitude,
of people.
which the Sharia is against, because that is not economic justice, that's economic injustice.
Injustice.
So that is why the Sharia is outlawing. And when you look at that verse that speaks about this betting, it says, "Innamal khamr wal maisir wal ansab wal azlam rijsun min amali." إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء في الخمر والميسر ويصدكم عن ذكر الله وعن الصلاة فهل أنتم منتهون.
I don't want you to translate it yet. We'll have a short break now, and when we return, I want you to translate that verse that is prescribing any game of chance, especially this aspect of gambling that I just mentioned now. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we want to look into this matter very, very critically. Stay tuned. It's Fundamentals of Islam on NTA. Assalamu alaikum.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, I love Muhammad Mustafa, then the whole wide world, making partners with.
Thank you very much for not going away. We are still on to Fundamentals of Islam, reaching you from NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the unity station. We've been talking about the matters of Islamic economic ideals, and Imam Koshile has been discussing with us the aspects that the Sharia, permits, and the aspects that are not allowed as far as Islam is concerned. and he has mentioned a very beautiful verse for us, which he began explaining, and we want him to expatiate on the points of that verse of the Quran. Please tell us more about that verse.
Thank you very much. When you look at that verse, إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encapsulated some concepts into, because they are all related.
It's a package.
Al-khamr, alcoholism, wal-maisir, gambling, betting, and whatever guys it comes.
Whatever name it's called.
Now a lot of names are out there, but technically we talk about, is it the 1x bet, is it the Naira bet, is it the Niger bet, or whatever names it is. But clearly, whether we like it or not, without deceiving ourselves, they fall under this heading.
Betting.
Yes, betting. Wal ansab, wal azlam, rijis min amali shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says they are rijis, they are debts, filth of amal shaitan. They are the doings of shaitan. Then Allah proceeded further and told us that innama yuridu shaitan an yuqi'a bainakum al-adawat wal baghdha fil khamr wal maisir. Then Allah now singled out two of these phenomenon.
No.
And that shaitan intends to cause enmity, disaffection amongst you through the institution of alcoholism and through the institution of betting. وَيَسُدَّكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. He wants to debar you from remembrance of Allah and وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ, and he wants to debar you from worshipping Allah. Will you go out of it? And then when we look at this, we talk about economic liberation. Definitely, betting is definitely not one of the ways to liberate one out of economic hardship. And it is not. It has never, and it will not. People will say, yes, people win. Yes, people win. But how many people participated and how many people won? So where is the economic justice? And the objective of the Sharia is to ensure engender good for people and chase away from them evil. At the same time, we should not forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of the dominions of the heavens and the earth.
Yes.
He says, وَإِنْدَهُ خَزَائِنُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. He is the one that has the treasure trove of the heavens and the earth. So we cannot disobey him and at the same time expect him to give us what we want.
It is not possible. It's not done that way. In other words, the young people, rather than encourage them to be productive, why would we want them to be doing this cha-cha that you call it now, this gambling? And to corroborate what you have said, Imam, among the psychologists, the things that people are addicted to nowadays that has entered into the list of addiction is gambling. And unfortunately, after drug addiction, the next that affects and bedevils the young people of this nation is that one of gambling. What do you advise parents in this matter?
Before I quickly go to that of parents, you see the reason why when you read the Quran, Allah says, "Innama yuridu shaytan you can't be bainakum adawat the khamr wal maisir." So when we talk about addiction, it is the Quran has given us.
Look at the alcoholism and the gambling put together as a group.
In fact, the alcoholism, in the Sharia, there's not alcohol. It should not be misconstrued that it's all about alcohol.
Okay, not just
everything muskir, anything that can intoxicate, whether you drink it, whether you sniff it, whether you ingest it, whether you inject it, whether you smoke it, as long as it interferes with the brain, it comes under that discussion of alcohol. Of course, the alcohol is popular there because what is known to the Arabs at the point when the Quran was being revealed is the alcohol itself.
Okay,
but Islam has told us in this hadith that kullu muskirin, which is a nakira itself, to tell us that anything that it's intoxicating, that has that element of intoxication, for us, that is what is being talked about.
Then from again, intoxication to addiction.
Exactly. So definitely, it's so you can see that in that verse, Allah has told, specifically pointed out the issue of addiction, what we can be addicted to, which is betting. And then getting high and
drugs generally,
everything that you can think of. And we should not forget that in Surah Al-Araf verse 19, Allah has told us that وَلَوْ أَنْهَا أَهْلَ الْقُرَى آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. If the people of the town had believed and do aman wattaqaw,
and are God conscious.
and are conscious,
Hmm.
are conscious about the demarcations of what Allah has said, do, don't do.
The hudud.
Because when you talk about taqwa, is to try to keep within, preserve ourselves, hold ourselves not to step the red lines of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Wala an al amanu, if they had believed, wattaqaw, and they observed the
boundaries.
bounds, la fatahna alayhim barakatim minas sama, would open for them the floodgates of the heavens and the earth.
So the blessings would have come to them if they had,
If
stayed
they had
within the
stayed
boundaries
within the bounds
of Allah's injunction.
And that is where how we now go to the advice for the parents.
Allahu Akbar.
That counsel your words, your children, on being conscious, being God conscious. We all acknowledge the fact that God created the heavens and the earth.
Yes.
We all acknowledge the fact that God created us.
Yes.
We all acknowledge the fact that God is the owner of the dominions of the heavens and the earth. We all acknowledge the fact that the treasure troves of the heavens and the earth are within His control.
Of course.
Then why can't we listen to Him and obey Him so that we can have access to the treasure trove?
Allahu Akbar. So anything that is intoxicating and all of the things God has made to be haram, if we keep doing these things, the blessings that we seek
will be, in fact, we will not see the blessings. We think we are seeing the blessings, but in fact, we have not even behold the minutest of it. Just as Allah, He said, barakat, the blessings of the heavens. He says, La fatana barakat minas sama wal ard. He is going to open the floodgates of blessings from the heavens and from the earth. When even Allah wants to punish people, look at how Allah SWT described the people of North. That He opened the floodgates from the heavens and the earth. So the flood was coming, as it was coming from the heaven, it was coming from the earth. So, but at